Imagine a world with no books, no text messages, no street signs. For most of human history, this was real life. If a person died, their thoughts died with them. If a king made a law, people only remembered it by speaking. We want to leave a mark on the world. We want our voices to live forever. This is the story of our greatest invention. It is not the wheel, and it is not fire. It is the invention that allowed humans to share knowledge across time and space. This is the history of writing. Hi, and welcome to Daily English Origins. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started. Humans are social creatures. We need to share our thoughts, our feelings, and our warnings. This is called communication. Communication is the way we share information with others. At first, humans only used sounds and hand movements. This worked well for small groups, but as human families grew larger, speaking was not enough. The spoken word disappears as soon as it is said. Early humans needed a way to make their words stay. Long before alphabets existed, humans painted in dark caves. About 40,000 years ago, early humans went deep into caves in Europe and Asia. They mixed dirt, animal fat, and water to make paint. Then they painted beautiful animals on the stone walls. They painted horses, deer, and large bulls. They also left handprints. These handprints were simple symbols. A symbol is a picture or shape that stands for a word or idea. The handprint was a clear message. It said, "I was here. I existed." For thousands of years, humans shared history through oral tradition. Oral tradition means telling stories out loud from one generation to the next. Grandparents told stories to their grandchildren. When the grandchildren grew up, they told the same stories. But human memory is not perfect. Sometimes details were lost. Sometimes the stories changed completely. As tribes grew into large villages, people traded animals and food. They needed a permanent way to record numbers. Permanent means something that lasts forever and does not change. A farmer needed to remember how many sheep he gave to his neighbor. Memory was no longer good enough. The real journey of writing began about 5,000 years ago. It started in a place called Mesopotamia. Today, this land is mostly in the country of Iraq. Two great rivers flowed through this land. The rivers made the soil very wet and rich. Because the land was so good for farming, people built the world's first cities. The people living here were called the Sumerians. As their cities grew, their society became complex. Complex means having many different parts that are connected. The Sumerians had kings, temples, farmers, and rich markets. They traded huge amounts of grain and animals. To keep track of all this trade, they needed a new tool. The Sumerians invented the first true writing system. They used the materials they had around them, mud and river plants. They took wet clay from the river and made small, flat shapes. These were called clay tablets. Then they took a small stick made from a plant. They pressed the stick into the soft clay to make marks. These marks looked like small triangles. This writing system is called cuneiform. Cuneiform means wedge-shaped. A wedge is a shape with a thick end and a thin, sharp edge. At first, cuneiform was just used for math and business. But soon, the Sumerians used it to write laws, poems, and stories about their gods. Writing gave them power over time. Around the same time, another great civilization was growing in Africa. This was ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt grew along the famous Nile River. The Egyptians developed their own writing system called hieroglyphs. Hieroglyphs were very beautiful pictures. They drew birds, snakes, eyes, and boats. For the Egyptians, writing was sacred. Sacred means holy or connected to gods. They believed their god of wisdom gave them the gift of writing. Because of this, they carved these beautiful pictures into heavy stone temples and dark tombs. They wanted their dead kings to read the magic words in the afterlife. Stone and clay were very heavy. They were hard to carry from one city to another. The Egyptians solved this problem with a brilliant invention. They looked at the tall, green plants growing next to the Nile River. This plant was called papyrus. They cut the plant into thin strips. Then they pressed the strips together and dried them in the hot sun. This created a light, thin sheet. Papyrus is an early form of paper. In fact, the English word paper comes from the word papyrus. Suddenly, writing was light and easy to carry. Messengers could carry letters across the desert. Knowledge could finally travel the world. Cuneiform and hieroglyphs were amazing inventions, but they had a big problem. There were thousands of different pictures and symbols to memorize. Because of this, learning to write took many years. Only a few rich and powerful men could learn to read and write. These men were called scribes. Scribes held incredible power in society. If a poor farmer wanted to read a law, he could not. He had to trust the scribes. The system was too difficult and unfair. The world needed a simpler way to write. The solution came from a group of clever sailors and traders called the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians lived near the sea in the Middle East. They traveled everywhere in their ships to buy and sell goods. They did not have the time or money to learn thousands of complex pictures. So, they created a brilliant new system. They stopped using pictures for whole words or ideas. Instead, they created simple marks for individual sounds. This was the first alphabet. An alphabet is a small set of letters, and each letter makes a sound. With only 22 simple letters, a person could build any word in the world. It was a true revolution. The Phoenicians shared their new alphabet with the people they traded with. One of these groups was the ancient Greeks. The Greeks loved the simple alphabet, but they noticed a problem. The Phoenician alphabet only had hard sounds like B, C, and D. These are called consonants. The Greeks added new letters for soft sounds like A, E, and O. These soft sounds are called vowels. Vowels make language flow and sing. With vowels, the Greeks could write beautiful poetry, dramatic history, and deep philosophy. They wrote down the great stories of their heroes and gods. The Greeks soon influenced another very powerful group of people, the Romans. The Romans built a massive empire. An empire is a large group of countries ruled by one powerful leader or government. The Romans took the Greek alphabet and changed it slightly to fit their own language. They created the Latin alphabet. As the Roman army marched across Europe and Africa, they conquered new lands. They brought their alphabet with them. They forced other nations to use their laws and their letters. Even today, English and many other modern languages still use this same Latin alphabet. Before we continue, let me ask you a quick question. Are you enjoying this journey through history? If you are, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It tells YouTube that you love learning English, and it helps us create even better videos for you. Thank you. Now, let's get back to the story. While alphabets spread across Europe and the Middle East, a completely different system grew in Asia. Thousands of miles away, the ancient Chinese invented writing all by themselves. This is called independent invention. Independent invention means creating something new without copying anyone else. The earliest Chinese writing was carved on turtle shells and animal bones. These were called oracle bones. Kings used them to speak to their ancestors. Instead of a sound alphabet, the Chinese developed a beautiful character system. Each character represents a whole word or a deep idea. Through war, peace, and changing dynasties, the Chinese writing system survived. It is one of the oldest continuous writing systems still used today. Hundreds of years passed. Great empires rose and eventually fell. In Europe, the powerful Roman Empire collapsed. When Rome fell, society broke down. Schools closed. Safe travel ended. Trade stopped. This sad period is often called the Dark Ages. During this time, writing and reading almost disappeared in Europe. People were too busy fighting to survive. However, a small group of men saved human knowledge. These men were monks. A monk is a man who gives his life to religion and lives in a quiet, isolated place. Monks lived in cold, safe buildings called monasteries. Inside the quiet monasteries, monks worked every single day. They took old, fragile books and copied them entirely by hand. They wrote slowly and carefully on expensive animal skins. It could take many months or even years to copy just one single book. Because of this slow, difficult work, books became incredibly rare. Only kings, queens, and the very rich could afford to own a book. Knowledge was locked away from the common people. A deep hunger for information began to grow in the world. The people were waiting for a spark. They needed a new invention that would break the chains of ignorance and share knowledge with everyone. In the year 1440, a man named Johannes Gutenberg changed the world forever. He lived in Germany. Gutenberg was a metalworker, and he had a brilliant idea. He created small metal letters that could be moved around to form words. He put ink on these letters and pressed them onto paper using a heavy machine. This machine was called the printing press. Before Gutenberg, it took a monk a year to copy one book. With the printing press, humans achieved mass production. Mass production means making thousands of copies of something very quickly and cheaply. Suddenly, books were not just for kings. Because books were finally cheap, normal people could buy them. A great change swept across Europe and the world. More and more people learned how to read. This skill is called literacy. Literacy is the ability to read and write. When people could read, they started to ask questions. They read science books, political ideas, and religious texts. They realized they did not have to listen blindly to powerful leaders. Knowledge gave the common people power. The printing press started revolutions, built new nations, and pushed human society forward at a massive speed. For a few hundred years, the printed book ruled the world. But humans are always looking for ways to be faster. In the 1800s, inventors created a new machine to help individuals write faster. This was the typewriter. The typewriter was a mechanical device. Mechanical means it works by using moving parts, springs, and keys. With a typewriter, a person did not need a pen and messy ink. They just pushed buttons, and metal letters hit the paper. This brought writing into modern offices. Newspapers grew larger, and journalists could type urgent stories in minutes. In the late 20th century, humanity took the biggest leap since the printing press. We entered the digital age. Digital means using computer technology to store and share information. We stopped writing on physical paper. Instead, we started typing on keyboards and glass screens. We invented email and text messages. Today, you can type a message in New York, and a friend in Tokyo will read it 1 second later. The Internet connected the entire globe. Millions of books, articles, and stories are stored in invisible digital clouds. Writing is no longer just fast, it is instant. Interestingly, human communication has come full circle. Today, we type on modern smartphones, but we also use tiny pictures. We send a yellow, smiling face, a red heart, or a crying face. These little pictures are called emojis. An emoji is a digital symbol used to express an emotion. Emotion is a strong human feeling, like happiness, sadness, or love. Sometimes, words are not enough to show how we feel. Just like the ancient Egyptians used hieroglyphs and early humans painted cave animals, modern humans still use pictures to tell a rich story. Today, technology continues to change. We have artificial intelligence that can write essays. We have voice-to-text machines that type the words we speak. We do not know what writing will look like in 100 years. Perhaps we will send thoughts directly from mind to mind. But the tool itself is not the most important part. Whether we use mud, paper, or computer screens, the goal remains exactly the same. We want to be heard. The history of writing is the story of human survival. We refused to let our memories die. From the cold, dark caves to the bright screens of the digital world, writing is our greatest weapon against time. It connects the past, the present, and the future. Through writing, a child today can read the ancient thoughts of a Roman emperor. We are never truly alone, because the voices of our ancestors are still speaking to us on the page. Every time you write a letter, send a text, or read a book, you are keeping this beautiful human magic alive. Hey there, just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.